Hey parents, welcome to the weekly rethink. So in February, we've been talking a lot about your role as a parent. We talked a couple weeks ago about creating a highway to heaven, and what we just talked about.
It was so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
So good. Along the way. Oh, selling.
Yeah, and we talked about selling your kids. So we said it's okay
Selling your kids on
to
Jesus.
sell Jesus. We got an enemy selling Jesus. And so, selling the war, selling, we got an
We
enemy.
wish.
Well, we wish
How
the enemy was
incredible
selling
would
Jesus.
that be?
Yeah, so we got the enemy selling hell and selling a way of life. And we got to sell Jesus. So today we want to give you a really practical tool. As a parent, one of our roles is wouldn't it be nice if we didn't have to think for our kids, but they thought the right way? We have
It'd
a
make
way.
parenting a lot easier for sure.
Yes, and it's our job as parents to help our kids think right. Suzanne came up with this phrase so many, many years ago.
I have no idea where I got it. So if you're the one that came up with it, don't sue me.
Yeah, many phrases she has, but this is one of her best, and it's called just flip their thinking, or flipping their thinking,
Or
whatever.
flip your thinking.
Yeah,
It's just all thinking needs to be flipped.
really, it's usually we're focused on our kids and how we flip their thinking, making them come up with it on their own to think the right thoughts. And because if they come to the conclusion, it's so much better. And so we have used this. We use this phrase a lot. We use it a lot in our book. And many
Yeah, it's throughout the whole book.
Yeah, throughout just different examples of doing that. So practically, what does that look like? Suzanne, we were just talking about an example of it.
And so I was thinking the other day, McCade came home from school and he was whining and complaining about his teacher. And so in my mind, I think, okay, how can I change his thought processes so he's not a victim, or he's not being taken advantage of, or the teacher's out to get him, or whatever it is, whatever track it is that he's running in his head, that the teacher's bad and he's, not. The flipping the thinking goes along with you've got to start asking questions. And so I'll say, well, McCade, what do you think the teacher was trying to teach you? Well, where do you think the teacher was trying to go? What do you think was happening in the teacher's life? Sometimes we have to think about somebody else outside of themselves.
And hang on a second, aren't you thinking the whole time, oh my goodness, I just want to tell him to get his stuff together, and he doesn't have a bad life, and it's okay.
And I want to scream, you're the sixth grader, you're the stupid one in this situation, but that never flies.
Yeah, it doesn't work very well, does it?
Yeah, and so what I'll do is just through questions, I'll get him to basically come to the realization that, the teacher was trying to teach us, and that's why she gave us this test on maps, and she didn't. He even came up and said, yeah, I understand that the teacher's wanting us to independently learn, and she doesn't want us to spoon feed us anymore.
So he actually said that?
Actually said what I was thinking in the very beginning. And so just through a line of questioning, got his thought processes. So he started the conversation being a victim, and he ended with, I see where the teacher was taking us.
And the difference is, think about that same scenario.
Yeah.
If when he comes in and whines about it, what was your reaction that you wanted to do with him? What did you want to tell him? Just as soon as he said,
there's two different. Sometimes I want to join in, and I'm going, you're absolutely right. She's driving me crazy, and I want to join him in his pity party
and take up his offense,
and
right?
Most definitely take up his offense and pick up the
now
phone and call the teacher.
Yes, we're gonna go
and say, you're a lousy teacher. Yeah, you don't know what you're doing, and it just, you're hurting my little boy. And Mama Bear comes out, and the next thing you know, we're all riled up, and so now I've fed into his drama, and so then that's one side of it. But then there's the other side of it, which I mentioned earlier, is, dude, you're being a stupid sixth grader. You need to get out, you need to be a big boy and do your homework and pay attention to the teacher. She's working hard for you. And so I waffled between those two instead of meeting the kid right where he is in his disappointment and in his frustration, which is where he is. And we get to acknowledge that. They get to be there. That's okay. He gets to be there. But as the parent, the person in charge, I get to be the one that comes in and help him get outside of it, beyond the disappointment, and into the, well, what have you got? What has God got for you in this? And what does the teacher have for you?
Yeah, because think about it. That's what we do when we go to God.
Yeah.
So we go to God and we say, God, life sucks, or whatever. And then
I hate this.
Yeah, I hate this. I'm mad about this or whatever. And then the Holy Spirit comes in and speaks to us and says, hey, maybe we can be grateful for this, or maybe we could flip our thinking this way. And God literally, I mean, even Romans 12 says it, that, be transformed by the renewing of our mind.
Yep.
And so therefore, all we're doing as parents is God doesn't come in and say, yeah, you're right, you should not forgive them, or yeah, you're right, you have a terrible situation. He will have compassion with us, but also he will come in and just say, hey, I'll listen to you, but I'm not going to lecture you, and I'm also not going to let you stay there. Let me gently nudge you to flip your thinking, which is kind of what you're doing.
Yeah, and that made me just think that Joyce Myers wrote the book Battlefield of the Mind. I mean, that might be actually where I got the flip your thinking idea, and that's what she talks about, where it's in our mind. That's where the battle is. It's where our thoughts are. And if we can take our thoughts captive, and if we can turn them, flip them to the positive, to the God thoughts, to the encouraging, to the hopeful, to the loving, the kind, what God has for us, then we win the battle, and the enemy doesn't win it anymore.
Yeah, and so really, parents, we've talked about, when your kid comes to you with a problem, we have 3 different ways we can handle it. And one way is we join them in their offense, and then we take up the offense, and we start to help them be offended.
Yeah.
Or the second thing is that we tell them they shouldn't feel offended. You shouldn't feel this way. You should be more grateful. And it turns into a lecture.
And we reject them.
And it drives them away.
Right.
Or the third higher way is we say, hey, tell me about that.
Meet them where they are.
Meet them where they are. Let them talk about it. And then through our own questions, we lead them like God leads us into a higher way of thinking. That's called flipping your thinking. That's what we do. And so I think that's a great way to learn. As we wrap up this month, just think your role as a parent, one of your major roles is to flip the thinking of your kids into God's way of thinking.
Well, and just as a challenge, start with your own thinking. Start practicing by flipping your own thoughts and your own processes, so that when it comes time to flip your child's thinking, then you're familiar with it and you know what you're doing, and you know how to direct them and change where their thought processes are going, because you've done that in your head plenty of times.
Yeah, that's good. So parents, flip your thinking. Flip
and your kids' thinking. Yeah.
Do all kinds of flipping.
Woohoo!
And don't hurt yourself. Not physical flipping. We're too old for that. But no physical flipping. Just mental, spiritual, emotional flipping. And we hope you've had a good time with this one. We have. Go be crazy parents, crazycoolfamily.com.